If you watched last Friday's video, 3 reasons why push-ups are better than bench pressing, then you probably read the title here today and started thinking to yourself, okay, either this guy has dementia or he's trolling us. But I can assure you that neither of those are the case. I have a point today and I intend to make it, so bear with me until the end. What's up guys, Enkiri here, and last week's video did generate some really good discussion, and I'm hoping that we can get that going again today, but it also created a pretty good bit of confusion and misinterpretation along with it. Many people agreed with my points, some people disagreed with them, but a lot of people just took away the wrong message altogether, not the message that I wanted you to take. So now, allow me to drop a nuclear bomb on top of all that confusion so that you guys just don't know what the hell is going on anymore. Are you ready for it? The bench press is a better exercise than the push-up.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Today I'm going to give you guys my top 3 reasons why the push-up is better than the bench press. The bench press is a better exercise than the push-up, and today I'm going to give you guys the top 3 reasons for precisely why that is. Maybe I do just have dementia. When you perform a set of push-ups, you're essentially assuming a plank position the entire time, which means that your abs have to be strong and braced tightly for the entire set. Otherwise, your hips are going to start to sag down to the floor and you're going to lose position, and ultimately you're going to have to stop the set because you're essentially shifting the load off of your upper body muscles and therefore losing the training effect. But also because moving through positions of hyperextension of the lower back like that under load repeatedly or for long periods of time is not really an ideal position for your lower back to be in either. And if you're doing weighted push-ups, then the effect here simply becomes magnified greatly. So basically what all this means is that the core, the abs, the hips, the lats, pretty much everything that comprises your torso is potentially the limiting factor during push-up performance, not the upper body musculature. This means that you can effectively get through an entire push-up workout and never really work the prime movers all that hard or all that completely. Never really truly achieve high levels of muscular tension or fatigue in the pecs, the delts, and the triceps. And what the hell is the point of that? What on earth would be the point of that? We're trying to get jacked arms and a big chest, right? So why would we waste our time and our energy on an exercise that doesn't hone in on those muscle groups all that efficiently? With the bench press, on the other hand, you're lying down flat on a stable surface. Your back is down on the bench and your torso is supported by the bench. The core is completely removed from the equation. This means that the only true limiting factor present during the performance of the bench press is the strength of the upper body musculature itself, the prime movers themselves, the pecs, the delts, and the triceps. So during a properly executed bench press workout, there is almost no chance that you won't be able to achieve high levels of tension and high levels of fatigue in the aforementioned upper body pressing muscles. This means that over time, you'll be able to strengthen and hypertrophy those muscle groups to a greater degree because there's no other weak link present in the chain there hindering your ability to sufficiently tax those muscles because those weak links have been eliminated from the equation by lying down to push instead of pushing your body back up. When you perform a bench press, you're able to pin your shoulder blades onto the bench in a retracted and immovable position. This creates a solid and stable base to press from. Now, contrast this with a push-up where the shoulder blades are just flapping around like a limp dick in the wind and they're able to move any which way while you perform the presses, while you perform the push-ups. The scapula can retract during a push-up, yes, but it can also protract and even potentially elevate or depress, as well as cause rotational aberrations in the movement pattern. These movement inefficiencies dampen force production, which reduces the training effect on the prime movers, the pecs, the delts, and the triceps. But with the bench press, since the shoulder blades are pinned down and locked in a retracted position and can't move during the lift, this problem is completely non-existent. It's effectively removed. The upper back and the scapula remain locked in. There are no potential rotational aberrations or inefficiencies. And since you've created the absolute most solid and stable base to press from, you'll be able to utilize the strength of your prime movers, the pecs, the delts, and the triceps, in the most efficient and optimal fashion possible. And with absolutely no energy leaks to be found, the strength and hypertrophic training effects that can be achieved for the upper body through bench pressing are absolutely going to dwarf anything that could possibly be achieved through measly little push-ups. So, score another point for the bench press. The final reason to bench press, instead of wasting your time with push-ups, has to do with the intensity of the training stimulus itself, the potency of the training stimulus itself. When you perform push-ups, especially if you have high levels of relative strength to begin with, it is just too easy to rack up rep after rep after rep after rep and never really accumulate sufficient amounts of fatigue in the upper body pressing musculature or achieve an adequate training effect for those prime movers. The exercise simply lends itself to higher rep performance even when done in a weighted fashion. That's just the case with certain exercises. That's the nature of them. It's just the way that some of them are. They lend themselves much better to rep performance rather than to going very heavy. For me, the Romanian deadlift versus the conventional deadlift automatically comes to mind here as another example. It is simply not feasible to max out on an RDL. The exercise just doesn't work well for it. It's not built for it. And the intended training effect is lost when you try to do that, when you go too heavy. The best results are simply had when you're using sets of 6 to 8 reps or even sets of 8 to 10 reps. But with the conventional deadlift, on the other hand, you can basically go as heavy as you can go, and you're still going to make good progress with it. The exercise simply lends itself to the performance of heavy work and to maximal work. That's why it's considered one of the best strength tests in existence. That's why it's part of powerlifting competition. It also works very well for light work and for medium work as well. And so the intended training effect here with a conventional deadlift can be optimally achieved across all rep ranges. Well, in my analogy here, the bench press is much more similar to the conventional deadlift, whereas the push-up is more similar to the RDL, the Romanian deadlift. The rep for rep training effect is simply much more potent with bench pressing than it is with push-ups, even when training loads are approximately equated. The exercise is just much more powerful, and thus the dose does not need to be quite as large. Based on my personal experience, I would estimate that it takes at least a 2-to-1 ratio of push-ups to bench presses to achieve an equal training effect for the upper body within a training session. This is due in part to the fact that the best training effects for the push-up are achieved by accruing large amounts of intra-set muscular fatigue, which entails accumulating many reps per set. Whereas with the bench press, that doesn't necessarily need to be the case. Accumulating intra-set muscular fatigue can be a useful method there as well with the bench press, but it is not the only way to make it work. Instead, one can rely on neural factors to achieve the training effect, or even accumulating large volumes of total time under tension, but spread across many small sets performed in a short period of time. A high density of work, but using heavier weights than the push-up would allow you to use because you aren't dependent on intra-set muscular fatigue being accumulated. So basically with the bench press, you can make damn good progress using singles, doubles, triples, 4s, 5s, 6s, or even up to 10 reps per set, and maybe even more than that. Whereas with the push-up, you really shouldn't bother loading it heavier than to a point where you can hit at least 8 reps in a set. The benefits just aren't really there beyond that because the exercise is not suited for those types of performances. And the reasons for this phenomenon basically harken back to the 2 other factors that make the bench press superior that I've already discussed in this video. The bench press provides a stronger, more stable base to press from, along with no weak links or energy leaks holding back the strength of the chain, which leads to better force production from the prime movers, which simply leads to more effective reps when viewing the 2 exercises on a rep for rep basis as well. Because of all that, you also end up with more options in terms of effective set, rep, and loading schemes to train the bench press than you do for the push-up. So you have more options, more variety, and you can use the exercise and progress with it longer because of that. Plus, you don't have to spend hours upon hours every damn day doing push-ups. But those are just nice little bonus cherries on top of an already frosted cake. And all that to say, Score another point for the bench press. It is simply a superior exercise for upper body strength and upper body hypertrophy as compared to the push-up, especially when it's dissected on a rep for rep basis. And if you watched last week's video, then you probably noticed something funny going on by now. Basically everything that makes the push-up a better exercise than the bench press can also be flipped on its head, viewed from another vantage point, and be made to show that the bench press is a better exercise than the push-up. Basically, last week you had a lot of people thinking that I was creating some kind of silly, mutually exclusive scenario, inferring from my video that I was suggesting that you should just do push-ups and forego bench pressing altogether. But that really wasn't the point of that video at all. Instead, the entire point was to highlight the unique benefits of the push-up. Benefits that cannot be had while bench pressing. Reasons to do your push-ups regardless of how good of a bench presser you are, and to highlight the overall effectiveness of that lesser utilized but just as valuable exercise. The bench press doesn't really need this. It does not need to be highlighted like that because everybody already fucking does it anyway, regardless of whether or not I talk about how great it is. That is just gym bro culture, especially with powerlifting becoming more and more mainstream by the day. But context is everything, right? And in the context of general fitness or general strength training, which unless I explicitly state otherwise, that is most likely what I'm referring to. So in the context of general fitness, I am quite confident to say that you're much better off ranking the push-up and its variations into a position of higher value than you are the bench press, as there are simply more overall benefits to the movement, and it just makes you a more well-rounded athlete than the bench press could ever hope to make you. And you would be hard-pressed to argue me against that. And if you want to try, I'm all ears. So in that case though, the bench press could be used as a secondary movement to improve upper body size and increase the strength of the prime movers, which will aid push-up performance in the long run. And then on the other hand, in the context of achieving maximal upper body strength or achieving maximal upper body hypertrophy or maximizing powerlifting performance, then yes, the bench press should be and must be placed into a position of higher value than the push-up. And in this case, the push-up could be used as a secondary or accessory movement for the bench press to eke out those extra gains and help keep the shoulders healthy or increase the work capacity of the upper body or whatever. But it ain't fucking rocket surgery, guys. And of course, there are benefits to be had from the bench press that you can't get from push-ups alone. It's the most isolated, non-isolation way to hammer the pressing muscles of the upper body. There are no limits on the ability of the prime movers to produce force except for their absolute ability to produce force. So of course there's value in that. I would never deny that. It just doesn't really need to be said anymore. I was never suggesting that you eliminate the bench press altogether, especially if you enjoy doing it and have seen good progress and good results and good gains from doing it. I was merely offering you a similar alternative, an exercise with similar overall benefits as well as its own unique set of benefits, benefits that the bench press doesn't offer you. If you can't bench press right now because of COVID, then push-ups can be made to be a damn good stand-in for the time being. But obviously, the best long-term results will be seen either by implementing both exercises concurrently or by rotating through their variations in a properly periodized program. Both exercises have value, both exercises have their own respective value, and both exercises should be utilized for the unique benefits that each of them confers. So I hope that clears up any confusion that I created last week. And that is all I got for today, guys. Please be sure to like the video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and definitely leave me some love in the comments down below. And if you're interested in online coaching, be sure to shoot me an email at enkiri.elite@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to pass some more information your way. Or simply visit my website, www.enkirielitefitness.com, for more details. Keep training hard, and I'll catch you guys next time.